It's me, Jessica Marnan. Welcome to the podcast. This is Inside and Outside. I'm an author, horticultural therapy practitioner, and founder of Basker, where I help people use gardening and nature for mental, emotional, physical, and social well-being. If this is your first time here, I love nature, but I also really love sitting inside and watching TV. So each week I merge those two worlds together, the inside, the outside, where my guest and I talk about nature, that's the outside part, and then one of our current inside obsessions. Before we get to this week's guest, as always, I share a reason why I love to grow, and in no particular order, reason number 8 of why I grow things: getting offline and giving my brain a break. When I'm outside, I can't play shitty games on my phone. I can't doom scroll. I'm just all in on what I'm doing. And I've had bouts of meditation, but I always find a way to not do it. But with gardening, it is a meditation that feels natural, pun intended, and it just doesn't feel forced. I'm focused on the task that I'm doing, and my brain isn't getting pulled in a million directions. And I don't know about you, but with everything that's so heavy right now with the world, I just don't like being alone with my thoughts sometimes. So when I'm walking, I'm listening to a podcast. When I'm cooking, maybe I have a show on. With gardening, I just have to sit in it and think and feel. And it makes it a lot easier to work through those thoughts and emotions when you're surrounded by the outside. I don't know, it feels less lonely there somehow. So that's reason number 8 of why I like to grow. It gets me off my phone, it gets me offline, and gives my brain a break. One more thing before we get to today's guest. If you're in a warmer growing zone, and if you don't know what zone you're in, you can Google hardiness zone and plug in your zip code. Now is the time to start planting your cool season garden, which seems weird because it's 1,000 degrees outside. But cool season growers for warmer climates like ranunculus, anemones, winged everlasting, snapdragons, you got to start planting that. I actually start seeding at the end of August for my cool season garden. And I'm offering a new group session to learn how to grow cool season flowers. It'll be announced in my newsletter. It'll be virtual. It'll also be in person. I will include a link to that in the show notes. And if you're not into groups, I offer this privately as well. All right, today's guest. I'm talking to Ochuko Akpo. She is the writer and marketer behind As Seen On, one of the most popular and one of my most favorite newsletters about business, culture, and Gen Z trends. Even though I'm not on social media anymore, I still like to keep up with things that are happening. And her newsletter is one of my most favorite places to find out what's going on. If you haven't read her stuff, I know you're going to love her. Let's get to her right now. But before we do, a little break from this week's sponsor, Week of the Website. When you run a business, you feel like you have to be good at everything and then also have all the time to do it. Like building a website. You could probably figure it out, but the time it's going to take to figure it out, you should probably just call an expert. And the expert at building websites is Week of the Website. And yes, their name is exactly what they'll give you, a website in a week. Their team is obsessed with the details and giving you a hands-on, compassionate experience that's free of frustration. And when I say they're the experts, they are. They're a female-founded team that's been doing this for over a decade. And Kelsey, the founder of Week of the Website, is the author of the #1 Squarespace book, Squarespace from Sign Up to Launch. If you're starting a business or need to refresh your existing site, their service, Week of the Website Launch, is a great place to start. They'll act as a true partner whose goal is to make you look good. They'll give you a custom Squarespace website in a week that includes a dedicated project manager and designer, 3 design review calls, SEO and mobile optimization, and a lifetime training portal access, and more. Head to weekofthewebsite.com/insideoutside to book a time and learn more. And for Inside Outside listeners, get 1 free month of their concierge support and hosting when you book a project with them. That's weekofthewebsite.com/insideoutside, and I'll make sure to include this link in the show notes. Ochuko, welcome to the podcast. I love your writing. Just want you to know.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. I'm pretty excited to be here.
Oh, good. So actually, Actually, before we kick this off, where are you in the world right now? Because
Uh, yeah,
I'm
good
like
question.
somewhere, I found like I think it's an old website of yours. It says you're living in Portland, and then I saw on LinkedIn you're living
Uh,
in Germany.
yeah.
Where are
So
you?
flashback to that old website, which I suppose is where people get my email from, which is really funny. I made that, there was a whole thing when I was in college. If you want to get a job, you need to have a personal website.
Hmm.
And so that's my, junior year Wix website that I need to either take down or update in some sort of funny way. But I'm back in Portland, so
Oh, you
I
are.
I'm back in
Wow.
Portland till the end of next month. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, how does it feel to be back?
It feels nice. I think I was in Germany for 3 years working. I left my job, and my partner and I we'd been doing long distance for almost 3 years at that point, right? Longer
Uh-huh.
than we'd been dating in person. And we're like, enough is enough. Let's do this. He still lives in Portland. We met while I was living here. And so I'm just spending the summer with him. And then I'm going back home to Lagos. I'm from Lagos. He's meeting my family for the first time. And so it feels really nice to be back in a completely different
Hmm.
context because I was here for college and I was working for Adidas. And then I'd come over in the summers during long distance to see him. Summers in Portland are so gorgeous, so wonderful. This is my first time, working on my own, writing it full time. I don't know, it's a vibe. I really like it. Yeah.
Well, I just think it's interesting that you came back to the United States when it's the complete shit show of the world.
Because
So
it
so
is.
then so then you're going back to where you're from and you're just gonna be writing from there?
No. So, I'm going back to where I'm from just because, ever since I moved away from home about 10 years ago, I've only spent holidays with my family for about a month or two. And then when you start work, you can't just go indefinitely. And so we're both planning to move to like Portugal maybe for about a year,
Oh, nice.
and then figure out the rest after. But I just want to spend, now that I'm working with my own time,
Hmm.
life happens. I don't really know what's going to happen after that. And so I just want to spend time with my family. Uh,
Yeah, of
I
course.
think it'll be great. So I'm going to be there about a month or two. He's coming over for 2 weeks. I'll stay there for longer, and then we'll meet up after and go start our lives together, I guess.
Wow. Yeah, stay out if you can.
I
Um
will.
So
Trust.
we talk about inside and outside things on this podcast. The
Hmm.
podcast is called Inside Outside, but we actually start with your outside thing first. So can you share with me either your first nature memory or a time that nature really impacted you?
When I was younger, we lived in this apartment complex, my
Hmm.
siblings, my family, and I. And it was, a very apartment complex, concrete everywhere,
Hmm.
not a lot of nature around. But then when I was 11 years old, my dad came to pick us from school, which was not the usual. My mom usually did it because she was a teacher, and so she'd carpool us to. We went to the same school she taught in, and he's like, I have a surprise, and he took us to somewhere that wasn't our home. It was just this lovely, big, like place with like this massive garden in it. It
Mm.
was just a crazy place though, like a lot of weeds, like overgrown grass and whatever. And he was like, I bought this place. This is going to be our home. We spent the next, 4 or 5 months renovating the place. It was really fun because after school, my mom would take us there to have a look around. And so we could see it progress. And we couldn't go inside very much because, they were doing all the reconstruction and whatever. But we had this huge, huge yard, huge garden, right? And my siblings and I would just spend the time in there, like chasing bugs,
Mhm.
chasing lizards. We used to play Godzilla, and doing all sorts. Uh, it was really fun because, before that time, I didn't know that my dad cared about nature very much. But, during the time where the home was being renovated and when we moved in, he completely made that place a work of art. He tended so much the garden. He grew these there was this like massive apple tree, but it was like African apples. It wasn't the same as what we have here. And all these different fruit, there's a coconut tree that's literally like lying on the roof.
Mhm.
We had to cut it down a few years ago because it was really heavy, but it was fun. Like, in my own home, we had plantains, coconuts, oranges, mangoes, apples, um, just in my home. And
Wow.
it was just nice getting to see firsthand the different seasons, the excitement of, oh my God, they're ripe, they're ready, and
Yeah.
how are we
Yeah.
gonna get them down? And it was really beautiful. It really, really was. And I feel really lucky to have spent my childhood like in that place, like chasing like all sorts of things and
Yeah.
playing games with my siblings and make we did a lot of make believe stuff. But yeah, I think just seeing that place come to life and what a difference it made being in sort of like a concrete area versus a place that was filled with nature. Even just it was a garden. Lagos is not a very nature filled place.
Hmm.
But having that area for us, I think was super impactful and just fun. It was
Wow.
really, really fun.
And I think, isn't it interesting too, when we see our parents passionate about something
Yes.
outside of taking care of us, right? And it's like,
Yeah,
it feels so, I mean, and I don't know if it resonated with you as a child. It sounds like you're reflecting on it now, but I don't know. You see them in a new way sometimes when they're passionate about something.
completely, completely. It's really nice. And I think, there's a lot of gender norms back home, but to see my dad, who's in many ways a very typical African man,
Mm.
really nurturing things, in the garden, my mom was never out there.
Uh-huh.
I think that was it was really fun. I loved
Yeah.
that. I really, really did. Yeah.
I really want to look up what kind of apples these are. Maybe send me
I
a
still don't,
link to
yeah,
it.
I don't know
Ask your family.
I'll
I'm
ask
really
my
curious
family.
what kind of apples these
Yeah.
are.
Sometimes we have the traditional names of things,
Uh-huh.
and so we don't really call, you don't really know what the English name is. Does that
Right,
make
right,
sense?
right. Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a link to a plant ID app. And when you're there, I want you to plant ID it and see what it is.
Yes.
I don't know if you
Oh,
ever
I didn't know
used
about
a
that.
plant ID app, but it is
I
just,
never have.
it's,
I never
and
have.
now that you're in Portland, it's so fun to just walk by a plant and you're like, what is that? And then you
Yeah.
just click it and it pulls up all of the information
Portland
about
is a
it. And
big nature place. It's so fun.
yeah, Portland is, wow. Okay, well, that is such a special memory, and I'm excited for you to go back because if you have space and a climate to plant food, specifically fruit trees, I don't know why more people don't take advantage of that. I don't know if it's like
Yeah.
a fear of it dying or if it's something like in one of the episodes I talked to Joey Hernandez and he was talking about his first nature memory was citrus trees. And I don't know. It's like, I know for myself growing up, citrus trees felt like this magical thing I'd never have because I grew up in the Midwest and now I'm in a place that I can have it. It's like I've got 8 of them in the backyard because we should take advantage of when we can grow food like that.
Oh, that's amazing. No, I completely agree with you. I was going on a walk with my boyfriend the other day, and I was like, "Are we gonna have a garden in our house?" As a rhetorical question,
Yeah.
which wasn't my answer. I'm like, "When we
Oh.
eventually have a home, are we going to have a garden?" And he was like, "Well, you don't do gardening stuff." And I'm like, "You don't know me. You know where I'm from. I could, I could be that
Will you have
person."
is your dad still with us?
Yes, he is. He is.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
Well,
Yeah.
it would be kind of like a cool thing for you guys to connect over
I
that when you get there.
know.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if he grows cut flowers. That's kind of my
He
thing.
does. He
Oh
does.
God. Okay.
Oh, so many flowers
Okay.
in our home.
Well, I'd really love to send you some seeds and you can take them back with you. Maybe you could
Yes,
grow some cool cut
I'd be
flowers with
happy
your
to do
dad.
that. I don't know if Nigeria has any rules on that, but they probably
Okay,
don't.
we'll find
So
out. We'll find out. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's so special. I'm so excited for you to go back and
yeah.
eat the mangoes and the coconuts.
I
Um,
know. I can't remember what season it is right now for stuff. God, I haven't
uh-huh.
lived at home in like 10 years. But it'll be a surprise. We'll have to see, which is great.
Yeah, you're looking at it with whole new eyes. So before we move to your inside thing, every single podcast episode, I share a study or research just to show the importance of plants. And I try to connect it to the guest as best as I can. And because I notice that you've been kind of moving and doing things, I found this research about something called neighborhood attachment. Have you ever heard of this before?
No, I haven't.
Okay. My goal is for the guest to not have heard of it before. So it worked. So neighborhood attachment is a social psychological process where it captures one's emotional connection to their social and physical surroundings. And what they found is that people that garden or have gardens in their areas and neighborhood, they have higher neighborhood attachment, which I think is just so beautiful. And I think we can think about the ways of why that happens. But I'm kind of curious when you go back to see that neighborhood attachment, maybe, and like where you live, are there other families around you?
Yes. So there's lots of families around us. But unfortunately, the thing is, I know people like think about Africa as this like, nature or whatever, but in the cities, it's not really like that, especially a city like Lagos, which is, I think, the second most populated city in Africa. It's just like a concrete jungle, pretty much. And so things are pretty densely packed, and most people don't have the space for that, which is why it is and was a pretty huge deal that we did, right? So a lot of people don't get to plant stuff, don't even have an awareness of how to do that, which is, yeah, pretty crazy. But I will say, though, that when I lived in Germany, I remember I was in a walk with my friends, and there are these plots of land
The
that,
allotments.
yeah,
Yeah.
the government gives like people and they can divide it up, especially like old people, and just like plant things.
Yeah.
And it's a way to keep them happy, I guess, and provide that serotonin. And so it was just like really nice that these aren't in their homes or anything. They're just like on a path somewhere, and they just get to have it and take care of it.
Yeah, they've actually
it's pretty cool.
There's studies that have shown that areas that have allotments for like allotment gardening, they actually have decreased crime rates there and increased happiness, because I mean, we all know the reasons why gardens make us happy, but yeah, it's and I think in the United States there's places like there's a couple community gardens, but it's like to get on a wait list for a little tiny 4x4 box is like years, right? Because like no one's going to give up their little box that they're providing to them. And I think what's so interesting too is maybe your family's garden has created some neighborhood attachment for the people around them, because it sounds like not a lot of people could grow things. So your dad's garden could have been like sort of like this beacon for everyone else.
So the thing with the way homes are back home is that they're all like fenced in. And so think of really big properties, how they have the concrete fences and the gates.
Yeah.
Because it's like just unsafe and not less safe in Lagos, right? Than Portland, for example. All the homes are like that, big and small. And so you can't really see into people's compounds.
Interesting. Okay.
And so my house, for example, oh God, I don't know if I have a picture ready, but it's like a massive walls, with like ivy on it and then a gate. And so you can't really see what's happening inside. Yeah. So I will say that like Lagos is not the most communal place at all. So yeah, shame, but no.
So how does that make you feel going back to that? Like, obviously you're excited to spend time with your family, but does it ever feel kind of isolated living that way?
No, I mean, that's the way it is, if that makes sense. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I think because we grew up like that, because it's always, I don't know when it started, I don't know how far back, but that's just how houses are built, and it doesn't feel like anything,
Right.
It's just the same thing as, people close their blinds, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I knew it was different in other places because I grew up watching American movies, and being here, it doesn't feel like, wow, you guys don't have like fences. It just, it just feels different, but you don't really think about it. My partner is coming with me for the first time. He's American, and so it'd be interesting to see what he thinks, but it's not really something that you really think of.
Yeah, it's just all
Yeah,
it's the only thing you've known.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, I haven't put much thought into what that is,
Well,
but
I'm still
yeah.
convinced that your dad's creating neighborhood attachment. Even if he's not.
I like
Well,
to, yeah, let's keep that thought alive.
wow, that's really, I'm very excited for you to go back. So, one other thing I wanted to talk to you about before we get to your inside thing is that you write about Gen Z, right? And I mean, that's like
Hmm.
not something that I'm assuming that's in the bio, right?
Yeah,
And I also noticed in your writing that sometimes you get frustrated about how other people write about Gen Z.
yeah,
I saw a headline today. I don't I don't know if you know the actor Malcolm Jamal Warner. He was on he's
yes, yes,
and
yes. He
he passed
passed.
away.
Yeah.
And I saw this headline that said Gen X mourning Malcolm Jamal Warner. I'm like, why do we have to bring Gen X in? Like, why does this have to be tagged a certain generation
Isn't
of
it
people?
so strange?
It's
I have a
so
theory on that
okay. Oh,
actually.
tell me.
So, I'm a marketer. That's sort of what my career has been, and writing is something that I picked up and is what I do now, but I still very much think of myself as a marketer, and so I see things through that lens a lot. I think that over the last decade, our culture has become hyper capitalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
In very interesting ways. Obviously, like startup culture, that started with millennials, where everyone's raising venture funding. It's becoming lingo that normal people know, right? I think with just, yeah, like just the growth of venture, that whole wave of companies and everything. And then also add in social media where everyone is marketing themselves. Normal
Mm-hmm.
people are having brand deals. Normal people are, figuring out their total addressable market, figuring out what language they speak, whatever. I think because capitalism and marketing, self promotion, everyone is sort of a mini business in themselves. A lot of people are. Um, we have started to think of people as segments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the time when you're in a company and you're marketing and you want to segment people, what generation are they and what is their psychographic, what is their demographic? That's when a lot of that language comes up, right? But because it's almost like we are adopting this marketing mindset, this capitalist mindset in our everyday lives and seeing the world a certain way, that is coming up so much, right? Part of
Yeah.
why Gen Z is such a thing is because a couple of years ago, everyone was like, how do we market to Gen Z? And then that's when all the mining for who are they, what do they like comes up. And then that bubbles up from rooms, marketing calls to become something that is just cultural lingo. And so everything becomes so stratified, right? In how we think about people. I think for me, it was really interesting because I come from a completely different culture. I wasn't raised here. I was raised in Nigeria, which is very different from America. And I'm Gen Z, right? My friends who were raised in the Midwest and who were raised in California or New York, Gen Z, quite different, right? And so I do think obviously there are generational things because of course there are, especially with like social media and technology and how that affects things. But I think a lot of the time it is just a way of entertainment for us now. That's like humor that we've all collectively bought into, millennial versus Gen Z and whatever, and it just evolved into really ridiculous things.
But
And
it's
then people
so
take it as fact.
boring, I think. I think
It's
it's
really, really
so boring.
boring. It's
I
so
just
boring.
I
I'm sure it
remember
gets clicks, which is why people keep doing
I
it, but it
know,
just
but it's like seeing a birthday card that's like over the hill. These are just like boring cliche tropes that just stop.
so cliche.
And I think that I remember, I mean, this is probably like 12 years, 10 years ago now. I got asked to do this is so weird, but Glade plugins, which by the way, I would never plug in one of those cancer heat sticks into my wall, but Glade plugins really wanted to get more into the millennial market. So
Mhm.
I was asked to go out to dinner to talk to like Glade executives because they really wanted to focus on millennials. This is so weird. Like
So
target,
weird.
like it's just like I think maybe target the people that would use them, not specifically millennials. I just
I
think
know.
it's going, I think, a little bit too far. And I don't know, I think I kind of remember it happening with Gen X, but it just seemed to when it hit millennials, that's when it went crazy. And also, there's still articles
Yes.
about millennials' work ethic. It's like these people are fucking 40, okay? Like
Yeah.
they're
No,
not like
no,
they're
no.
still they
It's
in fact they
ridiculous.
make them seem like they're still this 25-year-old generation. It's like they're in their 40s now. Like
It
it's
is
weird.
absolutely ridiculous. I
Do
hate
you
it
notice
so
that the way
much.
that with millennials they still make them seem like they're these like
Young people, like,
infantile,
yeah,
like can't figure it out.
yes.
It's like what is
And
happening?
I'm like, wait, so who's writing these articles? I, it's it's really strange to me, and it's just like weird and gimmicky, and um,
But then flipping
yeah,
it onto you with your focus of writing Gen Z, are you sort of perpetuating that, or do you feel like you're reporting it in a way that feels different?
yeah. So I write about business and culture mostly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I write about it through the lens of a young person, right? I use Gen Z because that's, that's the buzzword that's going to get people clicking. But
Right.
I write about it through the lens of like being a young person. So I write about like what Netflix is doing, what that means for my media diet, and what
Mm-hmm.
YouTube is doing or whatever. I don't do as much Gen Z is doing this, Gen Z is doing that. And I don't do very many TikTok trends, right? Because I don't do
Mm-hmm.
things that I don't write about Gen Z trends, quote unquote, that I don't feel are consequential in the long run, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just it's like a rule I've given myself. I won't entertain those conversations, like the whole Gen Z stare thing. I don't think that means anything. I think that is an internet moment that people are going a bit crazy over. And so what
But
people
it's
like to
also
do,
just,
yeah,
yeah, like why do people, it baffles me how these things become
yeah.
things.
The Gen Z, so like five people got a weird stare from Gen Z people, or just maybe rude people or weird people. And it becomes this whole telling thing of the state of Gen Z. Wow, they've been isolated for so long because of COVID. People just draw all these connections and try to make a really um, big thing out of it. And I just don't buy into that. If I'm talking about Gen Z, a lot of what I do is try to present there's this, but there's also this, and
Mm-hmm.
also this. Just the idea that at the end of the day, they're people, And something I really think brands ought to understand more is that the experience of being young is universal across generations in ways that we underestimate, right?
Mm-hmm.
That whole being lost, being scared, being confused, being a bit nihilistic, being excited at the same time. Am I going to make it? Am I not going to make it? Obviously, the terms might be different. The structures around you will be different, but a lot of these things are the same. Being young feels the same in so many ways, right? The similarities are more than the differences.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of the time brands create products or services to appeal to an idea of what Gen Z is, um, without actually solving any issues. I wish brands would focus more on what is a job to be done, what are we really solving for here? What value can I make, as opposed to like how can I just grab the attention of Gen Z? Because one thing is for sure, the attention is short. Like that I will not dispute. So yeah, it's a bit of a frustration for me, but not in any deep way. I'm like, wow, this is what we're doing now, I guess. So
Yeah, and I think you and I actually replied to this when you wrote about it because I the this what Reese Witherspoon's new Gen
yes.
Z thing. What is that called again?
That's Sunny is pretty egregious, to be
Sunny.
honest. Yeah,
It feels so off the mark of,
so
and
off
I
the
think
mark.
too, it's like it just felt
It's
embarrassing.
baffling to me. I'm like, okay, there's so many Gen Zs everywhere. Did you talk to none
And
of them?
that's what I think is like, who did they talk to people of that age? Who actually made this happen? Because it feels so off the mark, and it's almost like it was designed, quote unquote, for Gen Z, but Gen Z I don't think is gonna fuck with that. It feels,
No, hell no.
I don't know. It feels frustrating to me. And like I said today, that headline that I saw, Gen X mourning. Why can't everybody just mourn? A person just
Yeah,
died. Like, we don't need to segment
you're
grief.
trying to make it into like a generational little trend, and it's like that's not what this is.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, it'll, and I also saw this headline, and I mean, who knows? They could have interviewed 5 people on TikTok and they're like, this is a thing. But I saw that Gen Z wants to have babies before their babies become Gen Beta.
Wait, what?
Because, Gen Alpha is the next one
Oh, but
after.
wait, what? That's what? What?
Because they don't
That's
want their kids to be
dumb.
called Beta.
That's so stupid.
I
I promise you, all my friends of Gen Z, no one has ever said,
I
no one
know.
has ever, what are you talking about? That's
I'll send
ridiculous.
you a link to it. But yeah, well, keep doing what you're doing, keep challenging it, because it drives me absolutely nuts. And I think it just, and I think all of this isn't a bubble, right? If you're on TikTok, if you're on Substack, if you're on these things where people are constantly Gen X, millennial, you go out into the rest of the world outside of that bubble, people don't give a
Yeah,
shit about it.
people
We're
don't
just,
care. And that's
we're
another thing. Amongst my friends, we don't refer to ourselves as like, I'm Gen Z. Like, what are we doing? We're
right.
just people trying to live life.
Right. Like, and I don't know if you have watched the reboot of Sex and the City. It is really
No, I've
bad,
seen
but
clip. No,
they
I've
make
heard that.
a lot. I don't know why I can't stop watching it. Like, it's almost like I just need to
This is also
know.
something I've heard. People also can't stop watching it.
But like, I do like to see the clothes, and I'm interested in how bad it is, but they make so many references. Oh, that's so millennial. That's so cringe. And it's like, stop. It's not interesting. It's boring.
Because
So
I don't think people speak like that,
they
really,
don't.
in their day-to-day lives. And so it's so baffling to me why that is a choice in the newsroom to do that.
Yeah. And I will
So,
say, like, I mean, on
or the writer's room, rather.
TikTok, it's like, you know, what was this, like 3 or 5 years ago, the side part versus the middle part. And then you
Mm.
see it on CNN. This is what we're covering. This is,
Yes, that is
and
the one that really irks me. It's when, like, the New York Times or one of these things takes one of these stories. But my assumption of why it does well for them is that a lot of their readers are probably older and are not watching TikTok, right? They're not on TikTok. And so it's genuinely news to them. That is
mhm,
my theory. They're like, oh, this is what the kids are doing. And so this
right.
is their opinion of the kids. And it's always like, they're going to pick things at the extreme ends of things, right? And so there's going to be people who don't interact much with younger people who are going to think, oh, they have a Gen Z stare or whatever, because they're getting their news from the New York Times, which is getting its news from like 2 TikTok videos. So,
Right. Yeah. It's weird, but okay. Let's move inside. We've been kind of already inside on the internet, but every podcast episode, someone shares their current inside obsession, and the categories are TV show or movie, internet gossip you have to discuss, a trend that you want to go away, or wild card. What are you choosing?
mm, I think we already kind of talked about a trend I want to go away. The insane generational coverage that's happening in
Yes.
our society right now. Um, well, we could go two directions. We could talk about Girls, the TV show, because I'm rewatching it, and
Mm-hmm.
my friends and I were all rewatching it.
Mm-hmm.
As young adults who are at similar ages as the girls were. We could also talk about the whole astronomer CEO thing,
Wait, the
which is
what?
really interesting. Astronomer
Oh, okay.
CEO, which is really interesting. So you
Well,
pick. You pick.
oh God. Okay, we'll touch briefly on both, and this episode is going out next week. So we'll briefly talk about astronomer because I feel like that people won't even be
Would be
talking about it
gone.
in two
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what is
Fair enough.
your first take in one sentence on everything that's happening with it?
The puritanism of America never ceases to surprise me.
Wait, you know what? We should back up if people don't know what we're talking
Yeah,
about. So there was a CEO that was at a Coldplay concert, and he was caught on the Jumbotron holding a woman that was not his wife. And him and this woman, who was the HR person at his company, he fell to the ground. She went away and covered her face. And Chris Martin was like, oh shit, like they're either having an affair or they're just shy. They were having an
yeah,
affair. Someone posted this on TikTok, and then the world got obsessed. They identified him. They identified her. They actually misidentified another woman that was in it. And now there's 800,000 memes, reenactments. I saw like cake. Someone made a cake of it. I mean, it's just everywhere. And I think people are kind of getting off on this, A, someone else's like mistake, but B, I think people are excited that people all collectively are obsessed with something. It's like
yeah.
bringing people together in kind of the grossest way. But tell me more what you think.
Yeah, I think I wonder a lot about surveillance, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
and the internet and the power of the internet. By no means cheating is awful and all that stuff. But people cheat, right?
Mm-hmm.
People cheat. Um, they cheat, they hurt people, and to my understanding, like he had signed something going in. He want like a privacy clause, so he was not supposed to be on that jumbo video, whatever. And so someone messed up, and someone might be
Wait,
getting
wait, wait.
sued because,
I didn't read that part. He signed a
yeah, he had paid for privacy. Like he had, paid that he doesn't want any social media of him, whatever, and
at the
everything
concert?
at the concert. Yeah,
Dang. Okay.
pretty interesting. And
Yeah.
so someone's gotten really messed up there. I don't think he's a great guy. His apology letter, press, whatever, was very weirdly toned, and I'm like, this is
But there was a fake
a
one that
dish.
came out. I never
Okay.
So the one that
I've,
came out, which was his apology, was fake, but I don't know if he ever actually released. I just know the company released one that was like
okay, so
he's
maybe I
no
saw the fake
longer.
one.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
fake
Well,
one was
again,
weird, but weird that you saw it and it was fake because why the fuck would someone make up a fake resignation
exactly.
letter?
You know, exactly. There's that. I don't know. I really wonder about like, people feel, I guess, justified in this because he's a wealthy person, a wealthy individual. And so it's like up for grabs or whatever. But a CEO is not a billionaire, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite the distinction there. Neither is he a celebrity. This in my head is a private individual. And so I think that it is pretty scary to see the moral scapegoating of the internet,
Mm-hmm.
given that people are just generally not very great, And so, yeah, I think as someone who's not American, it's something about American culture that really does fascinate me. The simultaneous openness and extreme puritanism and like judgment is really scary. And all to say, this is less so a call on is what he did wrong, because obviously it was, but it's like, does a private individual who messed up in this way deserve to have it publicized in this way? Because when you're a celebrity or like a president or whatever, that's a different thing. You sign up for that, right? This is quite different. And so, and it could happen to anyone because I just find it terrifying, I guess.
Yeah, and
The
like
mob
go
mentality and the
yeah.
schadenfreude of it all.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw Tyler, the creator, came out with his new album, and he posted something about it saying, and this goes back to that surveillance thing that you were talking about, that he
Yeah,
noticed that like no one's dancing anymore, no one's getting crazy
yeah,
anymore. And he said it's because he asked people and they said, because we're afraid that someone's going to film us and put it on the internet. So when he had
yeah.
his launch party, there was no cameras allowed, there was no phones allowed, so people could just be free again. And is that surveillance thing. It's like we are being made to believe that we can't just be ourselves in areas because we might be
And that is a
captured.
big
No,
problem.
no,
Yeah,
whether it's like we were cheating, I mean, that's his own business if he wants to. I mean, he was cheating in public, period, whether or not he was on the camera or not.
yeah.
I mean, that takes a lot of ego to do that. But I just,
I don't think he's a great guy. I don't think he is. And
right.
but that's beside the bigger point I'm
Right.
trying to make
But I
here.
think it's
Yeah.
just like overall, I mean, it grosses me out when I'll see people like, oh, I gave this money to this unhoused person. It's like, why are you putting that person on there to like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like, oh my God, look at that guy doing, it's like, no one's giving their permission. And it feels really gross.
It really is. And the fact that we think it's normal to be this way is very strange to me. I'm very wary of the internet and online life.
Oh
And
my God. I feel like,
yeah,
I think, and I'm not to this point where I'm actually scared of it, but actually, I'm a little bit scared of it. But I will say I basically go to about 5 websites. And that's when you really think about how many websites you go to on like a regular basis, it's not usually as many as you think, right? It's like I kind of go to like
mm-hmm,
New
mm-hmm.
York Mag to kind of check something. I'll go to Substack to kind of check something. But the internet is a really dark and scary place. And I think I think that there's going to be a point in the next 10 years where it's almost going to be a liability to be on there. Like I've seen before a lot of like I watch some like YouTube things, and there's a lot of deep fake commercials now. Like I saw one with Oprah promoting this supplement. I saw one with Whoopi Goldberg promoting this apple cider vinegar pill. And at first glance, I'm like, oh shit, why is Oprah promoting this weird supplement? It wasn't her. And that's terrifying.
That's so scary. And we're just at the nascent stage of this technology. Imagine
Yes.
what it's able to do. And obviously, we have a government that isn't giving two crap about, or you have a
No.
government that isn't giving two crap about protection
Oh, don't
and
put
all
it
that,
on
you
me.
know? So,
It is. But yeah, it's just you know, and I know that there's going to be technology to show whether or not that was real or not real, but if someone's just on YouTube, they're not going to plug that in to see like, wait, is that a deep fake of Oprah or is
hmm
that real? And they're getting so good that you can't tell. I don't know if you saw that. Did you watch Love Island?
no, no, I didn't
Okay.
watch that.
Well, there was deep fakes of them promoting products, and like they promoted this. One of them, Huda, promoted like a perfume, and the perfume started selling out. But like she didn't actually promote it; they just deep
Whoa.
faked her to promote it, and that is terrifying.
Oh my gosh.
It's like-
Because a
so
lot of the time, it's just that split second image of seeing something
yeah,
that is just
exactly.
terrifying and
You're
it can
not going
have
to
such an impact.
investigate further, right? Like, and even like, and this is not no shade to you, but like you thought that resignation letter was real because why
Yeah,
would
yeah,
it be
yeah, yeah.
fake, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not really sure. I don't like to be so cynical, and I like to be hopeful, but I'm not really sure what the solution is to this, because the people that are doing this stuff just have money on the brain. They don't, our administration right now, like, they're not empathetic. Like, no one cares to regulate this stuff. So,
Damn, it's really sad. When you think about it, I guess like writing the newsletter, I've been doing it for a year. You
mhm,
would think I'm more enamored with the world of like tech and startups, but you just get kind of cynical. Like, what is it all for?
mhm,
What value is it really adding? How is it making lives better? And you see all the billions and billions of dollars that are being pumped into these things just to have supremacy in one way or the other. It's really scary,
mhm.
and it just makes you have a different view of the world. And yeah, you just can't help being a bit cynical, I guess.
Yeah, and I vacillate a lot between, should I just not look and then I won't know about all of this and then I won't be freaked out? But there's another part of me that feels like I need to be educated on it. Um,
Mm.
and like Substack Notes, I don't know if you ever look at that. I mean, it's essentially Twitter now.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And it's increasingly becoming a really toxic place too. So,
Oh, of course
um,
it is. No, I
I
mean,
try
that's how
not
these
to,
things go, right?
yeah. But that's crazy that I didn't realize it's only been a year that you've been doing your newsletter.
Yeah, it's not been very long at all. It's really fun.
What do you
It's not been
think?
very long at all.
I mean, I know that like sometimes it's just that magic, but what do you think if, someone is starting a new Substack now? What do you think is the thing that sort of was the tipping point or helped you really surge
Um,
ahead?
the truth is that starting now and starting when I started, I think is a very different ball game.
100%.
And even I am trying to like re-engineer ways to pump growth again because what
Mm-hmm.
used to work isn't necessarily working. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously the basic things: have good content, be consistent, know your niche, hone your voice, all that stuff you can find anywhere. But as it has to do with Substack now and how to grow on there now, I'm also trying to figure that out. I'll be honest with you there. So
I mean, it's
it's a very
wild.
different ball game. Yeah.
When I went into notes the other day, it showed, it kind of shows like, you should follow this person, you should follow this person. Before, like a year ago, I wouldn't have even recognized any of those names. Now it's
Yeah.
every single celebrity, brand, influencer that you could think of. And I'm not even sure if a lot of them even are writing consistently, but I'm like shocked how literally everyone is on there now.
Yep. Yeah. It's a hard one.
Well, how about this? Since we're kind of at time, just tell maybe two reasons why people should revisit Girls, because you mentioned that you're revisiting Girls. What is it about it that feels good to you?
Well, when I watch it and then I ponder as to the creation of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in awe of the fact that Lena Dunham was 23 years old and chose to bear so much of herself in terms of her literal body and her
Mm-hmm.
creativity. Um, that takes insane confidence,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I sort of like mourn for the way that was received at that time, all the body shaming that came with it,
Mm-hmm.
all the scrutiny, and I guess the millennial hate,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a brilliant show. It is funny, it is dramatic in just the right ways. And seeing that no one has been able to create like the Gen Z quote unquote equivalent of that, and not that Gen Z is like wildly different from us. As I said, I believe young people are by and large the same, but
Mm-hmm.
that no one has been able to create that show for like a modern world, right? Because things are very different now. Just shows to go just how much brilliance went into that. I just think it's a really great show. And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is also, yeah, a story about a very creative person. I think that's how I
I mean,
consume it.
it's mind blowing how young she was. Yeah. I don't know if you saw it. She actually just wrote a piece about how people are just going, now that she's doing promotion for her new show, people are just going after her about her body. She wrote that, at this point, I'm kind of projecting that I don't care, but obviously it still doesn't feel good.
There's no way it doesn't hurt,
Yeah. Well, we should end on a positive note.
Yeah.
Tell us one thing that you are just thinking. I mean, you mentioned girls, but let's leave on something that you're really hopeful about, or maybe a brand or somebody that's doing something in a way that you're like, wow, they're doing good.
This is a bit of a, going back to Substack, I guess, a bigger thing. I love Substack in the sense that I love just the creativity of the people on there. I love that people are going out and making things and doing things and writing in such a cool way. I know it's such a small thing, but to me, it's a pretty big thing, that people are just headed out there and being creative in such a fun way. And so, I really love that. I love how out there people are putting themselves and all of that. It's a pretty big deal to me.
Great. Well, if people want to find you, don't go to her old Wix site. Where should they go?
Don't do it. They should go to just asseenon.com. Pretty much.
Perfect. And I'll include that in the show notes too. Thank
you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks. Thanks for listening. That's the show. We have lots of reviews on Apple Podcasts, but none on Spotify. So do me a favor, and if you like the show, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. It will help more people find the podcast. And if you want to leave an extra Apple Podcast review, I'm cool with that too. And to find links for everything we talked about, check out the show notes or head to baskergardens.com and click on the podcast link. And if you want to learn more about horticultural therapy or how we can work together, go to baskergardens.com/pod and message me. Again, everything in the show notes. Talk to you next week.